Okay, Rob, you're on Mary's computer now.
We're recording.
Muted.
Good morning. This is David Knox coming to you live from Minneapolis. It's the first Monday Administrator and Manager webinar, Monday, September 11th, 2017. And there is no way that I can utter the word September 11th and not remember that horrible, fateful day where we lost so many people. And I know many of you have that thought on your mind, and our prayers go out to the people who were affected by that. And I don't like to open on a sad note, but it's pretty hard not to be highly aware of that, and also very aware that there's a lot of people who are suffering hurricane damage right now. And I've talked to some people in Florida and Texas and everywhere else. So not only do our prayers go out to our members and everyone else in the path of Harvey and Irma, but also our donations. So I know you're all thinking about that. So thanks for joining me today. And as always, I want to let you know about the next webinar. It's usually the first Monday, as you know, and sometimes I've just got to move it around. So next time it's going to be Monday, October 9th. So it'll actually be the second Monday. I'm traveling that day. And I'm working on a guest who was speaking at the Inman conference this year, the conference that I attended in San Francisco, and his whole topic was how to get your agents to use your stuff. He used a different word than stuff, but basically the message was good companies provide so many things to their members, to their agents, that it, how do you get them to use it? So if I can't get him in October, I'll shoot for November. And we're going to talk a little bit about the September 2017 videos, and our guest presenter today is Venus Morris Griffin, and I know many of you have seen her on the videos, and she is on the line now, and she's ready to be part of that interview as soon as we get to it. So I have been video conferencing into offices for, I don't know, forever now. I think I've done 50 or 60 Skype presentations into offices, and one of the things I learned is nobody knows about the mobile app. I'm thinking, come on, I've announced it every first Monday. I've announced it every What's New video. We have it all over the place, and still nobody knows. So I want to remind you again that we have the mobile app. And go to your favorite place, search for Knox Training, and we have changed the icon. And you will see the name Stanislav Ladonyenko, and I think that freaks some people out. He is our programmer from the Ukraine, so that is correct. It's Stanislav who created that. We have it for iPhone, we have it for Android, and it also contains the action plan. So please have your agents download it right now. In fact, let me back up. One of the other benefits of the mobile app, obviously, mobile, you can watch anywhere. But the other thing is that they can listen to the audio tracks when they're walking their dog or working out or whatever, and obviously connect through Bluetooth and listen to the audio. Remember the days when your car was supposed to be the university on wheels, where you would learn as you drove around? So it's a great way to enhance the training. The monthly email came out the other day, and this is an email that we rely upon you to forward to your agents. We do not email agents. We have no intent of ever doing that again. We only email broker, owner, managers. So we rely upon you to send it out. Now for large companies like Terry LeClaire, who's listening, with First Team out in Southern California, Lynn Tachinelli is probably the person who would do the forwarding. So it's just one email rather than everybody. And the email, the top video, which is always the what's new for the current month, we make that a YouTube video. So that means that they don't have to log in to see the video, and it's usually 2 to 4 minutes. So they can click on it, and the video hopefully will say, hey, this is the cool stuff that's coming up. So that's the email that you can send out. And September 2017, my gosh, what a load of videos we had. This is the highest amount of videos we've uploaded. And it's, I've called this month, technology, leads, and listings. This is a powerful month. Everybody needs listings. We have got you covered. You've probably met the group we call the 5 guys. These are 5 top real estate agents from across the United States who do a lot of work in technology. They did a couple of quick tips for us. So in KFT 113, part 1 and 2, part 1, they'll talk about how they use technology. 2, how they use it to generate leads. And then we continue with Venus Morris Griffin, who, as you know, is going to be our guest today. And in Real Estate Live 31-1, we're going to go through 4 parts of listing. And these 4 parts are a combination of an interview with Venus, and then we cut to live scenes from the 3 listings that she went on. And then the other thing we decided to do was just take her listings from beginning to end, the whole thing, from the time she gets out of the car till the time she goes in, till the time that the end of the handshake. And each one, if you look over on the right, you can see they're 33 minutes, 20 minutes, 26 minutes. So for your agents to watch those, it is a powerful way to see a listing in context. The only editing we did was on commission rates. We just, kind of our policy is we don't want to be out there encouraging any one particular commission rate. And those 3 videos are longer, not probably for sales meetings, but they'd be great for training sessions. And it's a good time for an agent to sit down and see it in entirely. Get a pot of coffee, a legal pad, and watch the video. So if at the end of September, if members aren't absolutely the best listing agents, it will amaze me. So it's a powerful month for those. The question always is, how do I get my agents to watch? My answer always is leadership. Agents won't do anything. So you have to lead them to the water. You have to put their head in the water. You have to squeeze their lungs to get them to intake the water and then force it down their throats. Anybody who's a manager appreciates the cynicism, but agents need to be led and forced to do something. So forward our email, show it in your meetings. That's how you get 70, 80, 90% engagement. When you show a meeting, show it in a meeting. The video sales meeting, Skyping me in, that works all the time. Incorporate it in your training, assign the accountability plan. If you're not using our accountability plans, call us. We will help you do that. The Facebook group page, mobile app. We also created, as I mentioned last time, a customizable PDF flyer that is designed for your agents. And you can insert your logo, you can insert a headline and make it your own. So when you log into your site, if you click on Manager Resources, these top 2 things right under Promotional Documents, this is the agent flyer up to version 3, and these are the instructions on how to make it your own. So you can add your logo, add a headline, then email it to all of your agents. We've also had a request, Scott Hodis asked for one to be given to recruits, people who are not with your company yet. So we're going to work on that for you. And then you can encourage people to come work for you. Schedule a Skype meeting. This was one, Laurie Reese got everybody together, had a great time. They enjoyed it. Amy Steinborn did a Skype. And, you know, just if you wonder if agents like it, they do. I got this 2 cards, hand signed by everybody who was in the office. This is in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I was so touched by that agents enjoy it. I get thank you emails and I get thank you cards. And, you know, I'm showing you this just so you know that agents enjoy the Skype. That's the kind of response you'll get when you do a Skype meeting. And by the way, in addition to bringing me in, there's a lot of other people you could probably bring in. And to learn more about how to do Skype, I'm finding one of the reasons people don't do it is they're somewhat uncomfortable with Skype. So once again, if you go to Manager Resources, somewhere in here is a Skype tutorial right here. This is our Skype tutorial, August 2017. So download that and it will show you how to download Skype, how to use it, how to make the meeting work, AV connections, that whole deal. In the future, I want to focus more on the millennials selling to millennials. And by the way, my understanding is they really don't like that term. So let's call it the agents under 30. So I am looking for some agents to feature. So for those of you listening live, listening to the recording, if you would let me know if there is an agent that's using technology and making money. I don't want a high-tech agent that makes no money. We've got plenty of those. You know, they know every mobile app, but they don't know how to close on a seller. I need somebody who is not only tech savvy, but using it to actually create revenue. We're also going to update our interface. And I really am open to suggestions on this, on how to make it simpler. I'd like to make it like Google, where you go to realestatetrainingbydavidknox.com and it's a white page and maybe 2 or 3 buttons on it that makes it really, really, really simple. So I've heard you and we're trying to make it simple, but I'm open to your suggestions. Now is the time. Also, the naming convention, that all came about because our first series of videos was a mentor series. So we coded it MS and Real Estate Live was RL. And we've gotten into this arcane numbering system, and obviously it means something to me because it's Knox First Tuesday, it's Mentor, it's Real Estate Live, and there is a difference between all of those series. But to a lot of our members, they go, I don't care what you call it, I just want it by topic. I want something on listing or buyers or negotiating. So we're trying to figure out what to do about that. Probably somehow keep those letters someplace. It's kind of like when I go down to Naples, and I don't mean to hit a sore spot for those of you who have property in Naples today, but you know, I always would get off at exit 15. And well, now they changed it exit 45 or whatever. So they had to put old 15. So we'll find a way to keep the naming convention. The other thing we're thinking of doing is self-enrolling courses. We have so many people who are not using the accountability plans that I may pull an end run around some of you and just create some courses for your agents to log into. So if you're ready, I am ready. I'm so excited to have Venus Morris Griffin with us today. She's with Mavon Realtors in Augusta, Georgia. She's featured in Real Estate Live number 29, 30, and 31, and a couple of quick tips. She did $1.2 million in income. She's going to be good if she keeps this up. Think about 200 transactions, 7 children, 4 assistants, and we also featured her with her lovely husband, a real prince of a gentleman. It was you can hear how they do family balance. And I just found this Venus on the Facebook page. Let me see, what is this? What an awesome month with 18 agents, Wheeler Road office, and top sales Venus, top listing Venus. And Venus, when I talked to you, I guess this morning you said something about you had 22 listings recently. So let's start off. How in the world did you get 22 listings?
Well, this month I had between 15 and 20. So kind of my story, I got into real estate just to be a stay-at-home mom, make $20,000 a year extra, pretty simple, nothing fancy. Told my broker, you know, I'm going to make $20,000 a year. Don't ask me to make an extra dime. And then within the first year, David, you know my story well. Husband goes to prison, 6 children, no income, and I had to change my game plan and start making some money. So the way I secure leads, there's 2 ways. The first way would be for new agents, and now my technique's a little different because I have a little more experience. But the first week that I was an active real estate agent, I did 3 open houses on Sundays. This week I did 3 open houses on Sundays. So the best way to secure leads is to get yourself in front of other people so you can make that connection. And I always tell new agents who come to me for advice, they ask me what they can do better. The first question I always say to them is, well, what are you doing? And I'm amazed at people who want to make the big money, but they don't want to do the little steps that make all the difference in the world. So, excuse me. So, you know, I started off by knocking on doors, and from there, you know, the open houses and advertising and making connections, and then referrals actually are kind of the way I make the money now. You know, once you have a client, you do what you say you're going to do. They, in turn, you know, refer you, and then they refer you, and then they come and relist. You know, 5 years. Statistically, 5 to 7 years, people start thinking about selling, and then they, you know, call you back to list if you do what you say you're going to do. David, do you want me to go through these bullet points? Is this a question answer thing, or do you want me just to keep talking? David?
Oh, sorry, Venus, I'm sorry. I muted myself so I wouldn't interfere. Your question was, I'm happy for you to continue on. And by the way, for those of you listening, please type any questions that you have, because I'm going to share those with her. But Venus, yeah, I wanted to start off with how you secure leads, but I'm happy to have you drive the show. All right?
Okay.
Whatever works.
So,
and by the way, one of the questions I would probably throw in that I know somebody's thinking, and you can figure out a best time to do this, is, you know, is there any technology that actually does work in creating revenue? Because you're one of those younger people. So, but I'll let you continue.
So my opinion is, first you've got to do the legwork. Everyone seems to think they can come into this and then they can do billboards, or they can spend a lot of money and get clients and start selling real estate. Well, it doesn't work that way. I think the techniques are still much what they were years ago, which you've got to put the hard work and the effort in and the discipline in before you can actually become a successful agent. My listing philosophy is, you know, the first thing I do is I prepare well. I spend a few hours when someone calls me to list their house, or I'm contacting them, getting familiar with the neighborhood. I prepare a powerful presentation. I probably have a 30-page listing packet that I give to each client. And in that listing packet, I show them everything that's currently listed on the market so they can see what their competition is. Then I go to show them everything that has closed within the last 6 months to a year. I show them the average, median, and high sales price. And then I present myself with casual confidence, because the first thing, and I don't know that you can really teach this to someone, but if you don't believe in yourself and if you don't think that you're the best person to list that house, then you're not going to be successful. In every listing that I go into, I expect to get it. And I would say I get 99 out of 100 of them, just because, you know, why wouldn't they choose me if I'm the best? And then honesty. You've got to be honest with your clients, and you've got to, you know, everybody's instinct is to tell somebody what they want to hear to get the listing. But the best advice I can give is don't do that. Don't be afraid to tell them that, you know, I heard a great agent one time tell me, who's retired now, she says, you know, Venus, I used to tell people, you want to list this house for $500,000 when it's really worth $400,000? Why don't we just list it for $1 million? Because your chances of selling it are equal. So you know, as much as you want the listing, you've got to be honest with them, and you know, you've got to price it competitive. You got to tell them, okay, yes, sir.
No, I was just going to say that is so hard for agents to do. So many of them want to cave in and go, okay, well, try it for a while. What do you say to them when the owner starts beating them up for the overprice?
So what I say to them is, I'm not the agent for them. And I tell them, as much as I want to list your house, you know, if I take this house and I've listed it $50,000 overpriced, 6 months from now, you're going to fire me. And you should fire me, because I didn't do my job on the front end. My job is not to tell you what you want to hear, but my job is to be honest with you and give you the information, and then you decide if you want to sell. And from there, if you want to sell, there's nobody out there that can do a better job than me. And I think a lot of people have a problem doing that.
True.
So, you know, the next thing that I would tell new agents is listing a house. I think it's kind of a two-step process. I think it's really important that you walk through the house before you ever tell them a price. And then the more contact you make with clients, the more they're going to recognize your face, the more opportunities you're going to have to, you know, to convince them that you're the right person for the job, and they're going to develop that trust with you. But more importantly, preparing for a listing starts first thing when you get up every morning. The first thing I do is I mentally prepare myself. Then, David, as you know, I physically prepare myself. I run 3 to 5 miles every day. And then thirdly, to prepare for a listing, I professionally prepare myself by reviewing everything over and over and making sure that I can just give them the facts and the information.
Okay.
So my first listing call was 8 years ago, and I'll never forget it. I called this for sale by owner. He had his number on the sign, called the for sale by owner, and I'll never forget sitting in a hotel room. I was physically shaking, and I was at a soccer tournament with my oldest child. And so I had to go out in the hallway because my kids were screaming in the background. And I just will never forget just telling him what I could do for him if he would just give me an opportunity, and, you know, just getting over those initial fears. I think, and the only thing that's going to help you with that is practice. But then once you get them to trust you, you got to do what you say. You can't get the listing and then kind of drop the ball, because then your success will be very short-lived. So, pricing process is pretty simple. I treat myself much like an appraiser. I am so good at this that, you know, again, I don't have a problem walking away from a listing, because I tell my clients all the time, you know, if I overprice your house, if you do the research, it's going to sit on the market and you're going to reduce the price and reduce it and reduce it. And research shows that you're going to get less than if you had priced it aggressively and sold it quickly. Recently, I had a house that I had 15 offers on it the first day I listed it, and it went for about $30,000 higher than I listed. so the seller actually got really upset with me, and he says, you know what? You shortchanged me. You list this house too low. And, you know, I told you I wanted to list it higher. You insisted that you were right. And, you know, I apologized to the guy and said, listen, I still say I'm right. Let's just, you know, kind of wait this out and see what happens with the appraisal. Well, the appraisal comes back. It is to the dime what I told him it would appraise for. And we had to take that 15th offer that we got, and we reduced our price by that same $30,000 or roughly $30,000 that they overpaid for it. And he got exactly what I told him he was going to get. Wow. And so then, of course, he developed you know, he became one of my biggest referrals, because he tells people all the time, Venus, I've got to tell everybody, you know, you told me the truth, even though we got more, and then we had to reduce it, because you can't really sell a house for more than an appraised value unless someone is willing to pay cash, and nobody with their right sense. I mean, I think I've had 2 this year that's willing to do that. So, you know, just pricing it right. You set yourself up for success versus, you know, you might as well not have the listing if you can't sell it.
Right.
So
telling the truth and letting go, it is so hard. And I suppose it's easier when you're doing a couple hundred units a year than when it is when you're doing 1 unit a year.
Well, and yeah, but I didn't start off that way. You know, again, back to my story and how I started. You know, I was married 20 years, happily married to this wonderful guy. I thought was a wonderful guy. And within a 24-hour span, find out he's living a double life, and he's prosecuted, held to trial, sent to prison for 50 years. I have 6 kids, no income. So I didn't start off as this secure agent. I started off with an attorney telling me, Venus, you need to get out of this real estate business. The market has crashed. You know, no one's making any money in this industry. You need to get out and get a real job. And, you know, I believe that you can be successful in anything, no matter the circumstances, as long as you have the work ethic and you have the discipline. And so that was my model. You know, I sat the kids down, David, said, hey, we're going to, you know, my oldest son said he's going to help me raise the children while I do everything to, you know, feed them. And, you know, I tell other agents, you've got to learn to face and overcome adversity. You've got to let it make you stronger. And the self-discipline, I tell people I run when it's cold, I run when it's rainy, and I run when I'm not feeling so well. I'm working in a hurricane in Augusta. We have no power in my house right now. But you keep a good attitude, you keep a good work ethic, you don't give up just because it's hard. People skills, you know, being able to connect with people. If you look at these videos that David has online, you know, I not only go through and tell them, okay, you got to take everything off the counter. This looks really messy. The backyard, I'm distracted because you have way too many plants that it's just not attractive, and you're looking at the plants and not the great backyard. When you have the people skills, or you try and develop those people skills to connect with people, and you genuinely have a love for people, I tell people that I would do this job for free if I didn't have to make a living. But if you genuinely, or you're doing the right thing, they trust you, and they wouldn't consider listing with someone other than you. And another thing that's a strong point is always keeping other people's best interest in mind, even when you don't like them. This past month, I made $120,000 in income. I can hold anything together. And I love difficult clients because it gives me an extra challenge. It's, you know, it's fun getting the income and supporting your family. But, you know, when you do the level that I do, I like fixing problems. I like being the master at keeping those together. I had 3 deals that fell apart last week that cost me $95,000 in commissions. But what I did, even though the $95,000, I didn't look at what that income was losing me. I truly, genuinely kept everybody's best interest in mind, even when I didn't like this one particular client who made the whole deal fall apart because he was trying to manipulate the system. And on a positive note, a week later, yesterday, I get a text from the doctor's son saying they want to hold the deal back together. So it looks like it's going to all work out. But, you know, just keeping everybody's best interest in mind, you know, goes a long ways. And then having a sense of urgency. You know, my broker always he gets irritated with me from time to time because everything is urgent, because it has to happen right now. If someone calls me and I have 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I'm not going to see what's on my calendar. I'm going to go right then, because if you don't go right then, they're going to hear of another agent with another friend or family member. They're going to call them, and you're going to lose, probably 25% of your business because you didn't act promptly. And then just being perseverant, and demanding excellence of yourself. So how do you close? How do you close a listing? That's easy, because if you come prepared, you've already done your homework, you're meeting with the people, you've developed that relationship. I give it 4 P's. You're prepared, you do your homework, you're powerful, you have that powerful presentation, that 30-page booklet, and you go through it, and it's customized for their house with their information on it, and it shows them everything in the area. They know that you're not coming in there lowballing them with some figure, because everyone has an inflated sense of value in what their house is worth. But when you bring them this information with statistics, they know that you're honest, you're ethical, and you're showing them the statistics. So you have a powerful presentation. You add on a personal touch. You build a connection. How many kids do you have? I try to, when appropriate, share how many kids I have and how stressful this is. And I'm going to help you with this stress. My job's to make this seamless for you. And then profitable. You set the bar so high that you have no problem asking for their business when you leave. I have no problem asking for someone to list with me, and no problem asking for the 7% commission that, I generally charge for a listing. And I know that varies by state. And David, I know you don't tell people commission splits, but I tell people, if you list at the high end of the market analysis, which I'm willing to do, you need to list at the high end of the commission split, which is 7%. If you list at the low end, then we can entertain 6%. But nobody ever wants to list at the low end. Everybody always wants to list at the high end. They think they can get more. But again, when you have that presentation, they're comfortable with your listing price, because you have the stats to show them. And I tell clients that if I've missed something, if you know of something that I've missed, which I don't miss anything generally, you tell me. And I also tell clients, if you want to get an independent outside appraiser to pay them $450 to give you an appraisal, the more money you make, the more money I make, I'm willing to do that. So sometimes, I'd say 1 out of 20 people do that, and the appraiser generally comes back at the same thing, or maybe even a little bit lower than me. So, and the last thing, how do I handle objections? The first thing I do is really, if I have an objection, I look to see what I can do better, because although I know I'm the best, I think I'm the best, I'm not perfect. And so I really try and listen to my clients, and to see if I have dropped the ball somewhere, and if I have, I fix it, and I ask them for an opportunity to fix it. But if I've not, which is, I would say 90%, people want to know why their house hasn't sold, I go back to my original market analysis, and I print that for them again, and I bring it, and I say, listen, Mr. Seller, this is what I told you on day one. This hasn't changed. You haven't done what I've done, you chose to price it $15,000 more than, I recommended in the middle. And then as far as negotiating my commission, I don't do that. I tell my clients that I'm worth every dime, and that if I can't support the commission I'm asking you to pay me, then how do you possibly think I can support the price we're asking to sell your house for? And 9 times out of 10, people have no problem.
Yeah, it's fun watching that. And I'm just writing a note here to myself. You have 2 qualities that I think good agents really need to have. These are 2 qualities of salespeople that people have said for 100 years: assertiveness and warmth. You are assertive. You just don't put up with any BS from people, but you do it in such a nice way that you're warm and caring and loving. And those are 2 skills. We have a lot of people who are assertive, and that's all they are, and they're painful to be around. We have a lot of people who are warm. They love houses and they love people. That's because they've never sold any. So you've got the balance. You got the balance of both of them. I'm going to ask you a question, but our listeners, if you guys have some questions you want me to ask Venus, now is the time to type it in down in the questions area, and I'm going to monitor those. So now is your chance for doing that. Venus, one of the things that you did on the listing that was very different than anything I've ever taught or heard other people do. But when I saw it work for you, I thought, you know what? I'm going to listen to a top agent more than I'm going to listen to whatever I was teaching. And you were making, as you said, marketing suggestions, you know, clean the countertops, get rid of the back. I mean, you were really pretty direct about the things they needed to do to the property almost right away as you walked in. Now, the expired listing, it felt like it made sense because they've been around the block. It didn't sell, so they need to know why it didn't sell. But maybe just talk about how that works for you.
So I believe that, you know, just like a doctor, when I go to a doctor's office, I expect him to tell me what to do to get better because I don't know. You know, it to me, when a client calls me to come list their house, it's almost a disservice not to do that for them. You want to be gentle with it. You want to be respectful with it. You want to disclose that, hey, this is the way we all live. But when you're selling, it's a whole different ball game. But they, you know, that confidence when you go in the first time you're meeting them and say in a respectful tone, hey, you got to take everything off these counters. It's too much. They develop respect for that and they develop trust. And I think that goes a long ways. If you go in with a generic presentation, you're no different than everybody else. So, you know, you've got to separate yourself. And, you know, people generally, when I leave, they think I'm a little bold and very confident, but they trust me. And they should trust me because I'm there to do a service for them. I'm there to be honest with them. And if I can't do that, then I don't deserve the listing. So I have no problem going in and
Sorry, go ahead.
So I have no problem going in and respectfully telling them what they need to do. It really, I think, works to your advantage. And I know that's not always what you teach people, but that's just the way I'm wired. And, you know, I treat people the way I want to be treated. And I just want to know how to fix it. What do I need to do to fix it? And I can do it. But if I don't know what I need to do to fix it, then I can't fix it.
Yeah. Well, one of them was an expired. It seemed to be just fine. The other one, in fact, I guess you did know all three of those people on those listings we did. So that I think helped as well. So they were already ready.
Well, no, one person, the military person I'd never met, they were referred to me.
Yeah, but they were the expired listings. So they kind of like,
oh, yeah.
They were, you don't know this, but they were going to list with you regardless of what you did, because I interviewed them before. In fact, you should watch the interviews I did with the sellers. You'll hear stuff you haven't. Oh, yeah. So that worked. But the other thing that you did, I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of people say, how in the world do you get sellers to let you do this video? And I said, it's hard because a lot of sellers don't do it. And I believe when you called the sellers, a lot of people say, you know what, we're going to bring in some video equipment and do some video in your house. Would you be okay with that? And they present it in a way where the owners would say no. And I think you made a call to somebody, you know, I got a national trainer follow me around today, do some video. You'd be okay with that, wouldn't you? It was such an warm, assumptive. And I go, that's how you sell. You know?
Exactly. Because, you know, you got to set yourself up for success, and people don't mind getting out of their comfort zone as long as you're confident when you're presenting it to them. But when you make it an open-ended question where you think you'd be okay, and, you know, then they have a couple of answers they can choose from. So if you just say, hey, I've got this trainer and he's great, he's going to follow me with me, I just want to make sure you're okay with that, they're great with it. Yeah. Everybody loves you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Let me see. Final question I was going to ask you, if I don't see anybody typing anything in, is I want to go back to technology and see what technology are you using that actually helps make money, if any?
So David, I am not in that 30-year-old group. I'm in the 45-year-old group. I'm 45. So honestly, you know, I do marketing. I'm on television. I waited several years before I started putting a lot of money into marketing. I spent probably $100,000 marketing this past year. But, you know, I have a billboard. People think you're famous now when I go places. No one had a billboard until I got into real estate. Now there's probably 15 people that you've never heard of that pop up on a billboard, which they generally stay there and then they come down shortly after because it doesn't work that way. But once you establish yourself in the community, doing things like that, it does impact and help because it reconfirms that this agent's successful. They're putting forth the effort to brand themselves and bring clients to the people they work with. And then, you know, I'm on television almost every night. I've run 3 commercials and, you know, I have 4 assistants. I don't do the busy work because my skill is in people, and my job is to get listings and to show the property and sell the property. I've got 4 great team members that sit in the office, and I'm kind of a single person selling because I feel like I do that best. I have one licensed assistant who will, she'll go sit at inspections and things like that for me. But I have a good support group, and I don't mind. My assistant Rhonda, who is now a nurse at the school, my very best friend and works part-time for me, last year made close to between $150,000 and $170,000 a year. And I didn't mind paying her that because I wanted her invested in me. And if you treat your people right that are working for you, then they're going to help make you successful. So, just that's about it. Just, doing the right thing, having a good support staff, and not doing the stuff. There's no reason for me to sit here and make flyers when I can pay somebody to do that.
Well, that was so fun. I remember one of the questions I asked you in the interview was, so Venus, once you take a listing, what happens? And you looked at me and said, I don't know. And the interview went silent.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And my follow-up, I think, was, that's why you're doing so well in the business. You don't know what happens after that. You don't need to know because you got other people who know. So
well, I think the important thing is people get into this business and they get greedy and they want all the money. And I think the moment you focus on the money is the moment you don't make any money. So although I do hold tight to the 7% because, you've got to have a commission, you've got to have revenue to pay people to do a good job, to advertise. The money is really secondary. And, you've got to be willing to, I remember when I put my billboard up, my ex-husband had just went to prison. I didn't even know how I was going to feed my kids, but I knew if I could figure out a tool to brand myself, to make myself successful, I knew that in the long term that would bring me financial success and that would help my family. So sometimes you've got to think outside the box, and you've got to take some risk. And if you just take the risk and don't do the hard work, we're going to lose a bunch of money. But if you're working hard, there's really no way you could not be successful. And I might not make 1.6 million next year. I might. Or bring home 1.2 million, but it's going to be close, if not more, because the only thing that's going to change that is my work ethic, and doing the right thing for people. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting the same results, which I kind of like. But the reverse of that is if you keep doing what you're doing, and you don't like what you're getting, you're going to get the same results that you don't like. So you need to change it up and listen to David Knox. But
oh gosh, Venus, you're wonderful. There's so many things that you presented today, but I really hear your work ethic, the ability to tell the truth, letting go of business that doesn't price right or pay you, your sense of urgency and responding to leads. We certainly saw that, and the assertiveness and warmth combination. And one of your goals was, to either write a book, and you also wanted to be on the speaking circuit. And I think you and I worked together. We've got your first speaking gig coming up.
yeah.
And I wanted everybody listening live and on the webinar, if you are looking for having someone present at your event and you would like to hire Venus, then you are open to that. Is that correct, Venus?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. You won't get paid as well as you do listing and selling, but you'll have a lot of fun addressing some realtors who want to hear your story. So are there any final questions from anybody? I'll just take a little pause. I didn't see anybody type anything in. So it looks like we covered. So
I'll tell you one additional thing that I would tell agents that I think that separates the elite from the just okay is, the way you dress. I wear a suit every day to work, and I'm always amazed by colleagues that come into closings and they have on, just a pair of khakis and just a, casual shirt. If you want to be the best, you've really got to be the best in the way you dress, and preparing yourself mentally, physically, and on the business end. So there you go.
Well, you do it well. You're a true professional, Venus, and I am honored to have had the ability to videotape your presentations and be part of your life and hear about it. And I hope all our members appreciate that as well. I know our videos can get some great comments. So to all our members, thank you very much for being members of realestatetrainingbydavidknox.com. Thank you for being part of this webinar. And remember to Skype me in, give me a call, and we'll do a live video conference. So thank you all very much. And thank you, Venus.